Hello everyone and welcome back to New Horizons. In the last episode we played with all things IC2 crops. We can use the crops as a passive and renewable source of many useful things like oxygen and helium, platinum and tungsten. We collected the Void Portal quest reward from visiting the moon and built our very own dimension. We also employed our old friend Breeks. It's good to have him back. Even though it caused me a bit of a headache last episode, this guy is now set up to automatically farm the crops in order to give us the best stats. In fact, at the beginning of the episode here, that is still his current objective. But for us today, our objective is to use those high stat crops and automatically farm and process them. So yeah, we will have to set up some new infrastructure today. It's going to be a mix of farming and technology. The first question we have to ask ourselves is how we're going to get the crops from this dimension over to the valley, which is where all the processing will be. And honestly, you guys are probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking, right? The ender chest. We don't technically have access to this thing yet. We can't craft it, since this takes IV emitters and sensors, and these things take iridium. Iridium isn't something that we can conjure up right now because it requires a whole chemical processing line, which we will get to very soon. There might be a workaround though, depending on how lucky we get with Greg today. We're going to take some fortune books here, and from all the Gregtech++ machines we crafted for ore processing, which are still humming away here, yes, we still have a few chests to go. I promise you this time they will be removed. I don't like breaking promises, but yeah, it was a little bit too ambitious for last episode. Last episode was like, I think there was over 30 hours of playtime, maybe just over 35 hours of playtime. That was crazy. And to be fair, for some of it, I realized the ore processing was stuck, so a lot of that time it wasn't actually running. But yeah, there's still some bottlenecks to address in ore processing. Anyways, from all those machines we crafted in the GT++ quest tab, we can get ourselves some IV loot bags here. I think we're going to end up with 4. Right, we get a choice reward. We're definitely taking the loot bag. And for the electrolyzer, we get 1 more. To enchant them, we need IV motors, which I think we can craft. Okay, Greg, bless us, please. I don't know what we're gonna do if we don't get an ender chest here, but we have 4 chances. Let's do this. Oh, we didn't get it. Oh, we didn't get it. I mean, I wasn't really expecting much. It was kind of a shot in the dark. Okay, lots of tungsten steel here, though. That's not too bad. Some EV circuits. Could have been worse, to be honest. Could have been worse, but we didn't get our motors back either. Oh well, oh well. Yeah, so Breeks is still currently trying to get us the best stat of stickreed, so it's going to take some time for us to get the crops we need. We do have a few of them already though. I'm starting to compile a small list of all the things we want to farm, but even though we have to wait a little while, we still have some other preparations to do. Alright, so not too long later we've expanded the farming capabilities here in the Void, and there's effectively 2 stages to our objective today, right? There's the Void world, and then there's also the Overworld. We are going to focus on the Void world right now. So the first thing is I've doubled up the farms that we have. We used to have 2, we now have 4 11 by 11 fields. Each of the fields is split up into 5 by 5 squares. We have an LV crop manager, a water reservoir, and an MV pump to insert the water. It's a pretty simple setup, and it will definitely do the trick for us today. However, we need to gather the seeds to put in this farm. So I did go ahead and expand the list of things we're going to farm today. It will definitely be refined as the episode goes on, but I'll provide a full list at the end. And we also now have the maximum stats on the stickreed, or the most beneficial, thank you Breeks. Also, just for insurance, I did make sure to put a chest down here. We have some spares, since if we, for whatever reason, lose any of the seeds, we don't want to start from scratch. So I hope we never ever have to use these ones. So yeah, before we look at the farms, let's start Breeks on a second program. So we're going to start with Yellow Stone Lily, which has the requirement of needing endstone underneath. And the program to max out the stats works in a checkerboard pattern. There's also something called Auto Spread, which should allow us to spread the stats of the stickreed, which is maximum, over to these garbage yellow stone lilies here. So the area of the working farm here is 6 by 6. We split that up into 4 3 by 3s. And then in the center of the 3 by 3 we place the yellow stone lily. It has to all be the same seed. Unfortunately, we only have 3 yellow stone lily, which is okay. This one here we leave blank. And then on the corners of the yellow stone lily, we place the parent seeds. This one in the middle we have to remove. And also this one we'll have to remove. Then we can put up Breeks here again. Make sure we give him all of his tools, and we can enable auto spread. He is going to go first scan the farm, and he should recognize the crop as yellow stone lily as the one that we want to duplicate. No, he doesn't, because we don't have 4. Okay, we're going to have to manually breed, unless we have one in one of these filing cabinets. It doesn't look like we have one though. In which case we're going to have to manually breed one. Oh, there is one. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that for the rest of the crops. Let's enable auto spread again. Now we should scan the field. It's gonna recognize yellow stone lily. And yes, this time he didn't crash. Okay, perfect. And he did recognize the crop here. Now he's gonna place the double crop sticks, I believe. Yes, there he goes. So now the yellow stone lily has the chance to breed with the stickweed. And that has a very high chance of passing along the stats and also creating another yellow stone lily. And then Breeks should automatically harvest them and place them in the storage farm over here. And most of this we'll have to remove. These are just spare seeds that we can use. And we have to do this for every single seed. It's going to take me probably a few days, but I'm going to make sure to do it this episode. At least for the starting seeds that we want. And throughout the episode, I'll be switching out this yellow stone lily to every other seed in this chest to try to get the maximum stats. And also duplicate the seeds. So in the meantime, I started to work on the power situation for the crop managers. These are LV machines, but the Master Magic Energy Absorber that we crafted last episode generates us HV power. So we placed the Master Magic Energy Absorber power output into an MV transformer, and then finally into a low voltage transformer, giving us 4 amps of LV power, which we distribute on redstone alloy cable to all of the crop managers. And that should give us more than enough power to farm the 11 by 11 fields that each crop manager will manage. I also just realized that 4x cable was a little bit overkill there, but what are you gonna do? I mean, we're basically rich now with ore processing. And speaking of which, this is running very nicely. We're down to our last 4 chests. And I've been doing a whole lot more filtering here, so I believe we've pretty much got every ore filtered now. It's almost time for us to place the miners again and start collecting more resources. Okay, so at this point we have some decisions to make. And this is always a point where I'm kind of a little bit afraid to make decisions and I get a bit of decision paralysis. I'm sure a lot of you guys are in the same boat. I always get questions on people asking, how do I design bases? So you know what, I just thought this is, I guess, going to be another segment of Building with 3, a little mini segment. It's been a while since we've done Building with 3, right? But yeah, we have some planning to do, and planning when you're building a base is very important, especially on this kind of a scale. So over on this quadrant, we have the fluid processing, which is going to get a bit of a makeover now that we're in 2.3. Maybe something we get to this episode, I'm not sure. Back here at the main controller, if we go over to the right-hand side, we have our main chemistry area, which is one day going to expand upwards. I'm thinking we put Platline up there for platinum and iridium. Yeah, this we don't want to touch. We don't want to put any crops processing, but we have to decide where the crops processing is going to be. And it's most likely going to share space with things like the passive automation of circuit boards, for example. Perhaps industrial TNT automation can also share the space. Maybe things like silicon SI solar grade dust, whatever this thing is called. All of these processes are going to have to be moved into the new section of the base. And I was thinking about this a lot. There's basically 2 prime locations that I'm looking at the moment. The first is a free space over here, which I'm leaning towards. So this side is chemistry. On the opposite side of the chemistry room is this free space here. This is the most likely candidate for what we're going to build our crops processing in. And then we also have on the opposite side, nearest the terminals, we have this room here, which currently the alloy blast smelter is in. I think though we want to keep this for all of the on-demand machines, which are eventually going to get their own multi-blocks, and also we're going to connect them to Applied Energistics, so that we can auto-craft. That is a project coming up here very soon. But yeah, things like bending machines, wire mills, autoclave, mixers, polarizers, all of that stuff has to be hooked up to automation. And it's quite likely we'll have to visit that room very often, so I want that close to the terminals. So it makes sense for it to be this one here, right? And we'll probably extend it here, upwards. All of our passive automation we don't have to visit as frequently, so it makes sense to put it further away from the terminal. So I think I've kind of talked myself into using this space here, which isn't perfect, but I think we can work with this, right? This needs all cleaned up. There's a few, few blocks missing. Yeah, definitely could use some work to tailor this to what we need. But this can definitely work, yeah. So I don't know if that may or may not help you guys, but yeah, I try to sort of think out loud like that and try to just think logically about where to place things. And there's no right or wrong answer, right? This could definitely be a mistake, but we are going to roll with it. Let's roll with it. And just in that short amount of time, look how many yellow stone lily we have by now. That is crazy. And a lot of these are good stats as well, like 21, 28 too. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. If we wanted perfect stats on every single crop, we're going to be here all year. So we're just going to rely on the fact that we have multiple crops, and it should work out pretty well. Also, one last thing I want to mention is these LV crop managers do give us a slight bonus. Has a 5% chance for extra drops, and that does increase every tier that we increase the crop manager. So you can see here at the UV one has a 40% chance of extra drops. So it's definitely beneficial to upgrade the crop manager. So yeah, that might be something we look at if we need expanded production, but for now, let's try to get this thing operational. So if you guys have seen Divine Journey 2, then this is the beginning of passive everything. I mean, to be honest, we've kind of already started that with the chemistry here. But yeah, this is one of my favorite things to do. So while I'm sure we don't have every single machine we need for today, I'm going to make them later on. I just want to get started, to be honest. This is so much fun for me, I think. This is also going to get us familiar with how we handle passive processes in the future. And yeah, I'm thinking we go with a green theme in this room. Alright, so as you saw, I did run an applied energistics connection, as well as a power connection. Those two things we need for pretty much everything, right? Although, as you can see here, it is disconnected until we verify everything. So yeah, we have a couple of machines to get us started in here. The first is going to be an electrolyzer. So I ended up crafting another multi-block electrolyzer, and I think I'm going to craft another 2 centrifuges. These things are not cheap though. The centrifuges are not cheap, especially the casings. Like, there's so many casings, and this is very expensive. So we'll see if we can manage to do that later on. A little quick update here in the Void. We have some of the farms in place, in fact. We have yellow stone lily. We ended up getting quite unlucky with the drops, and we don't have a way to guarantee the seeds, even if Breeks puts them in the storage farm. We have saltroot, we have stickweed, we have glow flower. I'm actually working on these at the moment. And then we have 2 fields of sugar beets. And the sugar beets here is what we're going to start with. So these we have to send through an extractor. And look at this for a machine name. The Deducer Device of Doom D123. Best machine name. So yeah, these are going to sit right here. Eventually it's going to be the multi-block. Yes, that is 6 IV machines just for the machine controller of the multi-block. That ain't going to happen. Plus Staballoy, which is uranium titanium. Yeah, that ain't happening right now. So we're going to settle with HV extractors. Deducer Device of Dooms. This is going to be fed by some blue alloy cable. So if we take a look at what the sugar gives us, we extract it into 8 sugar. So first is the extractor, then is the electrolyzer, and the electrolyzer is what gives us all the oxygen. We also get a byproduct of carbon and water. Okay, so this aluminium cable here is EV. This is an HV line. Let's just double check the cable colors. I'm still not... Oh, I colored this wrong. HV is supposed to be blue. This is supposed to be pink. Yeah, coloring your cables is useful, but if you color them wrong, then you're still going to end up with a disaster in your hands, right? Yeah, this is EV, but our machines are HV, right? So I went ahead and crafted the high amp transformer, and this will convert 4 to 16 amps. So 4 EV amps to 16 HV amps. We also have the option of hitting with a screwdriver on the high amp transformers, and this basically halves the amount, so it's going to do 2 to 8 amps. This will be on the blue alloy, so this one is HV. Let's just verify this. Yeah, input EV, output 8 amps of HV. Alright, so now we have power for all the extractors, all the dejuicer device of dooms. Let's set up the electrolyzer, I think, right here. So maintenance hatch on the bottom, machine controller in the middle, muffler hatch on top. We are then going to have an output hatch EV, just one because the water output we're going to trash. We need an input bus, an HV energy hatch, and we are going to run this multi-block at HV. I guess we can put that in the middle. Output hatch next to the machine controller. The input bus we can put below that. I'm stuck on this. I'm stuck on my own pathway. I might end up moving these in this room to make it... It doesn't really feel like appropriate to put these right here, right? I may end up moving those later on. I guess it's not the end of the world. Yeah, we can put the ME cable up here. Okay, so then for the electrolyzer, all we need to do, I think, is fill in the rest with casing. And we should have... Oh, perfect amount of casings. We should have a completed multi-block, right? Yes. We are, however, out of blue alloy cable, as I suspected would be the case. I think I was making up some more, though. Oh, dang it, and I keep forgetting about these things. I'm always walking this corridor, even though we have travel anchors now these days. There should be blue alloy here, right? You know what? Looking at this extraction recipe for sugar, 3 HV extractors might be a little bit overkill, because this is a ULV recipe at 8 seconds. So LV is going to be 4 seconds, MV is 2 seconds, I guess HV is 1 second per sugar beet, and we're going to get multiple sugar beets per second. Well, maybe not per second. It might not be that overkill. We'll see, we'll see. And actually, on reflection, we can remove these hatches to the left-hand side, because we're going to have another multi-block in the center here, so we can share the Fluix cable, input bus, output hatch, Fluix cable here, and that way we can share devices through the middle. And that way it cleans up this side, next to the catwalk. Also, is it a blood moon right now? I feel like it's extra dark. Maybe not. Maybe I just accidentally turned off night vision. That could also be the case. Okay, so that took us a while, but we've got power to all the machines now. At least for the sugar. And if we continue at this pace, the video is going to be like 3 hours long. Which some of you guys might like, but some of the videos have been getting a little bit long, so I want to try to shorten them up a little bit. But yeah, we'll go through this one so that you guys understand what the process is. So now we have to supply the items, and I still don't have a way to send across dimensions, but either way the sugar beets are going to end up in our AE system, right? So what we have here is a P2P tunnel. This is an ME P2P, which is connected to the main controller over there. I believe we did give it a name. Oh yeah, right here, Northwest 1, we can bind to this, and that gives us 32 channels on this smart cable. It's definitely a blood moon, right? Oh yeah. Maybe we should wait this out. Although I'm not seeing any mobs. That could be... There's one. I'm not seeing any mobs. I think it's because we have the mob repeller. Yeah, over next to ore processing here, I did plug in the mob repeller. And when you plug it in and give it power, it does increase the range. It makes it a couple of 100 blocks rather than just like 50. This is EV, I believe. So I guess that isn't ignored during the blood moon. That's good to know. Okay, so now we should have channels. I also want to put a terminal in here. Since we're a little ways off getting wireless AE, it's going to be nice to access our items right here. And we can even make up some facades for the cable. Like here, and hide it in the pillar. Nice. Oh, it's really dark. I'm going to wait this out. So now the best way to supply items to machines is using an interface. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the functionality of the interface, right? But if we request sugar beets right here, it's going to permanently stock 64, and it's going to take it from any devices which are connected to the same network. And this way we can just send a conduit up the middle of the machine. Again, we can hide this with some facades later on. But here we can just round robin, extract on brown, and then insert on brown, insert on brown, insert on brown. These machines should be turning... Oh, no. That's because we have power unplugged. Yeah, that's exactly what we want. And you know what? I'm going to move the interface over a block here. And then we can put a drawer on the right-hand side, and this way we can buffer any extra sugar. Although pretty much all of it is going to be electrolyzed, so this is not really going to be used to its full potential. So here we want to extract on blue, and insert on blue. And then we can place a storage bus, which we do not have. Let's craft one. We can place a storage bus on the drawer, and this will be set to extract only, high priority. And just to be safe, we'll make sure we filter this for just sugar. And then we'll place another interface on the side of the electrolyzer. We'll make this a tiny device, like so. And that should automatically send all the sugar into the input bus. I guess there is the stocking input bus, but we don't really need 16 different items. So we'll just use a regular interface and also request sugar here. So that's going to stock 64 sugar. It looks like we don't have any in our system right now. We're going to hide from the interface terminal. That button, by the way, let's charge the flask. That button hides the interface from this terminal here. And that way we don't see it when it's listed because we're not going to put any patterns inside. It looks like we forgot to do that on one interface. We can highlight it. In fact, I bet that's the one we just placed, right? Yeah, that's this one, next to the extractors. We also want to hide this. And now we just have to give this some channels. There is this big power cable in the way, and we can't really do anything about this transformer. So what we might do is go up and around. And it won't be seen because I think like I said, we're going to have a machine in the middle here, so it's going to cover it up. Yeah, that's going to work out very nicely for us. So this should now be online. Let's do some maintenance on the multi-block. Running fine. Double check the power connections down here. Everything looks good, right? LUV to IV and then IV to EV, EV to HV. Just double check these are all flipped the right way. I think so. I'm not even going to do a backup. I'm so confident. Please no explosions. It looks good, right? And we hear the machines. We do hear the machines. Okay, we're gonna need mufflers for those. That's way too loud. That is way too loud. Alright, and we did lock the drawer, right? So we have to make sure we set the drawer for sugar. And that should be sent to this input bus. Yeah, the recipe time doesn't look too slow, right? I think we're just about right with the speed of these extractors. It depends how many crops we have. But why is this not being sent here? I think we might need a conveyor here, right, for insertion. That's what it is. We are missing an output bus for this machine, so I'm going to move that to the bottom. That way we can put a drawer on site for carbon. And I'm going to move the input to the top here. Now when we turn it on, we should get oxygen, right? You know what? It's a GT++ machine. It doesn't have space for all the outputs. I think we need an extra hatch for the water. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. And it's 8 seconds for the recipe. This we're just going to send into a trash can. Before we do that though, we're going to make sure that we lock the slot so that this can only ever be water and we don't accidentally trash the oxygen. And there is a void excess mode, but I don't want to use the void excess mode. Here, I don't want to use this because we don't want to trash any of the extra oxygen that's here. Again, we will lock this into this hatch. And the output hatch of the oxygen we can send into fluid P2P, and we can connect this up to oxygen. Once it establishes a channel, it should empty out the hatch, right? I'm waiting. Come on, game. Come on, Greg. Unless oxygen is full. It might we might have too much oxygen right now. I think it's this first tank. Yep, it's full. Well, that is a good problem to have. I don't suspect that will be full for very long. I mean, it might if we have excess sugar beets. But you know what? We have the extra circuits, even though we need some more IV circuits for the multi-blocks later on. I think we're going to invest in the Super Tank 5, which holds 64,000 buckets of fluid. It costs tungsten steel and titanium. And then also 4 IV circuits and an HV field generator, which is another... That's 8 IV circuits for a tank. We are in Gregtech New Horizons right here. But yeah, we're going to switch this out. We should see some oxygen appear in this tank. Yes, we do. Perfect. We're going to lock this. Input from output side. Oh, I guess there is a tank next to this. Let's just verify that was coming out of the machine here. It's running again. That probably means this is empty. Yes, we did it. The first process is done. We now have fully automated oxygen production. We also get carbon, which needs a drawer. Let's put a drawer right here for carbon. Alright, so that is 1 crop down, and we've got like 5 or 6 more to go. Plus all the building here, so yeah, we've still got quite a bit to do this episode. So at this point we have sugar beets fully automated and processed, and there is 5 more crops I would like to do this episode. And those are stickweed, glowflower, salty root, endstone dust, and biotite. So a quick update here in the room, I did make sure to tidy up the space, this corner, and it should now be symmetrical with the other side. I think. This corner ended up quite intricate, so if you guys spot anything then let me know. But yeah, it's looking a lot more tidy in here now. Of course there is still this wall, which is going to be expanded when we have to add more machines, so I've just left that default. And then I've also planned out the machine layouts here which we're about to build. And this is going to be insane. We have got some more multi-blocks to craft here. So this one I'm not sure about, but we have chemical baths, an electrolyzer ×2, and then 2 centrifuges here. I did start crafting this already, but I'm not sure we can get every single multi-block, so some of them may end up being the single blocks. Although this type of stuff is critical infrastructure in the base. If we're patient here, then this is going to pay us dividends later down the line. Because you guys know passive processes are the best processes, and it will generate you resources without having to do anything. That is the goal here. So yeah, at this point, one more quick update on the farms. We now have blackstone lily, we have a few more salt roots, and then in the back corner we have glowflower, which we're about to process. This can give us glowstone, and then we also have something called glowing earth coral. Not too many crops, but this will be important in LUV tier, mostly for Cenarium, but that's quite a ways off. I just wanted to plant it so that we'd have it passive. I mean, yeah, think about it, the crops don't cost us anything to have planted or harvested here because we have the creeper egg. So it's only the initial upfront investment of the energy absorber. So yeah, because of that, I also included things like rose seeds, which is really only used for red dye, which we use occasionally in building. Same with Venomilia. This is, I think, purple. Is that purple or magenta? That is purple. Yeah, that's purple for sure. And for the dyes, we'll probably just have 1 crop since it is passive. I've also made sure to keep another insurance chest here. We have at least 4 of every crop that we have in the farm. Just in case, you never know, you never know. And yeah, that's probably about enough blaze reed. We do not need this many blaze reed. Breeks, you've had enough. Alright, I think that's probably about enough stalling. Let's get crafting. So I started with the glowflower, nice and easy. We just need 1 processing step for this one, which is more extractors, device of dooms. I attached those onto the back of the existing ones on the HV line, and shuffled the interfaces back to be able to run a conduit to the new set of machines. We need to make sure we set filters on the machines so they don't jam with either sugar beets or glowflower. And then we can send the output into a drawer controller instead of directly into the drawer. That way we can store both the sugar beets and the glowstone dust. Next up, after some crafting, was the chemical baths for salty root. Salty root along with some water in a chemical bath gives us a 95% chance of salt, 80% chance of rock salt, and 50% chance of saltpeter. For this process, I decided to do the chemical baths at HV, very similar to the way we done the devices of doom, except this time we have to also provide water along with the item. The output goes into a drawer and then it's sent into an electrolyzer. Yeah, almost exactly the same setup as the sugar. We get a fluid output and an item output. So the next crop is yellow stone lily, which gives us endstone dust. And endstone dust can give us tungstate, platinum metallic powder, sand, and helium. And that is done in a centrifuge. So finally, the last crop is stickweed, which gives us sticky resin. Sticky resin through a centrifuge gives us raw rubber dust, plant balls, and refined glue. Oh yeah, that was so much fun to build. I don't think I've had that much fun in this game for a while. And I've had some... This series has been so good. I don't know why, I just feel so attached to this world now. After playing in it for 869 hours. Yeah, the time is just flying. The time is just flying. But it feels really great getting some actual infrastructure down in this base now, right? So, as you can see, we do have 2 new electrolyzers, 3 chemical baths, 6 extractors, 2 centrifuges, and 0 circuits. It's possible we could have gotten away with sharing a couple of these machines, or even just crafting the single blocks, but that's no fun, right? Yeah, so let me take you through this and some of the intricate details about the design. There's a few things already which I would like to change. Really, it's just the way that we handle the items. So at the moment we have drawers for everything, right? Those drawers are not going to last very long though, especially on things like the saltpeter. This is going to fill up very, very fast. So what we are going to do is the good old subnet. And since the room is green, we might as well use green covered cable. I'm hoping 32 is going to be enough. But what we are going to do here is change all of the item outputs to the middle line. And we'll run green cable like this in the center. Even next to the extractors here. I have a feeling we're going to have to move these bosses again. Yeah, so it's going to look something like that. Does that look a little goofy? I don't know. We'll build it and we'll see what it looks like. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to move these 2 buses here to the bottom. Probably around here. I wonder, does the P2P tunnel remember its frequency if you break it with the wrench? It's still named oxygen. I guess that means it probably does, right? Let's see when we place it. Oh, that's weird. It remembers the name, but it doesn't remember the frequency. I guess because it disconnected from the network and theoretically it could connect to a different AE network. Interesting, you learn something new every day, I guess. Yeah, oxygen. Okay, so now those are moved, we're gonna have to move the output buses of all the machines to this green line. Or at least as close to it as we can get. These single blocks will have to output into an interface. Probably around here. And that technically means we don't need any of these conduits here for the extraction anymore. Instead, we'll have them output on the same side into the interface, but this interface will be on the green subnet. And then what I want to do is move all the drawers to a central location here. So we have sugar, we have glowstone, we have saltpeter, rock salt, and salt. We'll put them on the other side. We have what will be potassium. We haven't run the recipe yet for potassium, but this drawer is supposed to be potassium. We get sodium from regular salt. So yeah, it's not just the crops output that we're getting here. It's also a whole bunch of other useful byproducts. Oh yeah, of course, carbon. And then I think there's 3 more here, right? Platinum metallic powder, tungsten, and sand. So this output bus will have to go on the green line. And it will have to output into another interface, again, which is going to be on the green subnet. Here. This is a little weird. I didn't expect to do this, to be honest. But I think it's going to work out well, because it also means that we can change up the storage methods. And the whole point is to get rid of a lot of the storage buses, so we don't have to have as many drawer controller storage bus interactions. Get rid of this. It should also help us save on some channels and hopefully some energy. Well, maybe not, because we're also introducing some extra interfaces here, which do all cost power to run. There'll be another one on the centrifuge for raw rubber dust here. Oh, and that started the recipe again. And we can clean up these conduits next to the chemical baths. This will be insert in blue. Okay, so now what we've done is all the machine outputs are going to send their contents into an interface connected to the green network. So we're using 6 channels. You can have a maximum of 8 channels on any given network without an ME controller. So we're using 6. The 7th is going to be a storage bus on the drawer controller here. And because these drawers are locked, they only have one place to go. They should be locked. These ones up here are not. This is for platinum metallic powder, tungsten, and sand. So the storage bus will get high priority. Not that it really matters because this is the only storage location on the green network. And then we have to find a way to give this network power, because these interfaces will take power to run. What is the most elegant way to do that? It's probably to move these drawers to the front, up here, and that way we can run a connection up the back side of the drawers. Yeah, right here, this is going to work out perfectly. So we want the quartz fiber to only allow power transfer. And that should bring these devices online. You can see a little green light here. Now if we toss in some sugar here, for example, it's going to be sent to the drawer. This is a very similar situation that we have going on at ore processing, with the storage buses and interface outputs. And technically we could use ME output buses here. I might switch those out after the episode. I still can't decide if it looks too funky though, with the green wire right in the middle. I may change it to black just to make it a little less obvious, I'm not sure. There is one more thing I forgot to do, and that is refined glue. So refined glue, this is one of those things that I wasn't sure if we were going to need or not, because if we look at the recipe for or the uses for sticky resin, we could have potentially just sent it through an extractor, and it costs slightly less EU. It's 600 total EU for 3 raw rubber dust, but you only get raw rubber dust. Whereas if you centrifuge, which is what we're doing with ours, we also get an extra plant ball output, and we also get refined. Oh, I didn't take into consideration the plant ball. Oh yeah, that means one more drawer right here. Yeah, so I've given helium its own storage space in fluid storage here. We're going to have to give refined glue its own space. But refined glue, we're just going to void any excess. So if it fills the tank, I'm okay with just voiding glue. We'll give it a name, refined glue. And that will correspond over here on this output hatch. And it should empty out now once it finds a channel. Yes, perfect. Yeah, this is only 3 seconds. So I guess it did kind of pay off to make the multi-blocks. But yeah, we might not have enough we may not have enough crops to fully saturate these machines or fully justify them at this point. Oh well, they're crafted now. So yeah, that is now 6 items, 6 crops being fully automatically processed. So again, we have glowflower and sugar beets being electrolyzed into oxygen and carbon. We have salty root being converted into rock salt, salt and saltpeter. And the rock salt and regular salt are electrolyzed. And on that, in fact, we do share an electrolyzer for salt and rock salt. However, we do not want to electrolyze all of the rock salt or salt, because this is used in other places, primarily in the use of rhodium. I think, yeah, rhodium salt dust. We are going to need this coming up here soon. Also in brine, which I think we need somewhere. It's used in making salt water, although we can pump this from Mars. And then it's also used in the energy hatches somewhere. So yeah, to ensure we don't electrolyze all of the salt or rock salt, we have some level emitters here. So level emitters will emit a redstone signal based on the item you configure, and it reads from the AE network it's connected to. So this is connected to our main network. This will read the contents of our main network, and whenever we have over 2048 salt, it will emit a redstone signal. And this item conduit here only extracts from the interface, which is requesting the salt and the rock salt, if we have over 2048, and that puts it in a separate input bus. And we're doing the exact same thing here with rock salt. 2048 might be a little bit too high of a threshold. I may end up lowering that, but yeah, for now we'll just keep 2048. I have a feeling we'll make that in no time with the crops. And then yeah, we make chlorine from this, which is the main reason we wanted rock salt. The chlorine is used all over the place. And then again, the final 2 machines are 2 centrifuges. One is for sticky resin, gives us raw rubber dust, refined glue, and a chance at plant balls. And this one is for endstone dust, giving us sand, tungstate, and platinum metallic powder. Yes. You know what, after a couple of minutes just thinking about this is a terrible idea. I don't know what I'm doing here. Because what I wanted to do was craft some super chests. Oh, we can't. Yeah, what I wanted to do was craft some super chests. And this chest stores 4 million blocks. And you can void overflow, so it's like a drawer but without the drawer controller. So it does mean that we need some more storage bus interactions after all. Plus we have more interfaces which are on the output of the machines, so maybe it wasn't such a good idea. Yeah, let's craft ourselves a super chest 1. 1 in a million. And I want to put carbon into a super chest, and potentially also sand. Things that we're going to end up with a whole lot of. Yeah, we'll do that over this side. That might also mean we need to introduce an ME controller since we'll have more channels. This is going to take some thinking. I'm going to fix this between episodes for sure. One more storage bus. Yeah, so if I remember right, this super chest only holds one type of item. In this case for us, it's going to be carbon. Oh yeah, anything after the first stack goes into the chest. This way we can set this one to high priority on the green network. And the chest should already filter itself, but just in case we're going to put in carbon dust. Yeah, you know what? This was a terrible idea because this is also disconnected from our main network, so we're going to have one more storage bus to interface with the main network on the green network. Mistakes were made. I'm going to revert that between episodes, but I think with the fail at the end here, I think that is going to wrap up today's episode. You guys can see what I'm going for, right? Next time we're going to have to figure out the item transfer. I have an idea in mind, but we have to fully implement it. For now, the farms are not even running because there's nowhere for the outputs to go. They're just filling the crop managers. But yeah, we managed to get a lot of progress done today. And we are on the right lines here. It's just this green cable is going to have to get reverted back to the way it was. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of New Horizons. With less spaghetti.